Alright class, this is going to be an example of the 7G.2 exercises that you'll be tasked to do with on dashboard. So 7G.2 is going to ask you to determine whether an argument is valid or invalid after filling out the truth table. To do this, what I'm going to do is go through piecemeal here and assess the premises and assess the conclusion, and then take the whole thing to determine whether it's valid or not. So first thing I'm going to do is start with this premise. This is a premise where it's a conditional, and so I look at my two values here. When they're both true, it's true. Oop. When it's true, false, it's false, and then these cases are true. Here, I'm just going to flip the sign. Okay. And what I'm going to then do is make sure I select the premise line for the whole thing. So this is actually the value of the premise, and this is the value of the premise. Then I'm going to do the conclusion and just flip the sign again. And this would be the conclusion line. And so what I'm looking for is a case where I've got my conclusion false and all the premises true. So when I do that, as a strategy here, I'm going to ignore lines that have true conclusions, because that can't invalidate my argument. The only lines that can invalidate my argument are ones where the conclusion is false. So I'm going to look up here then and see for either of these lines where the conclusion is actually false, is there a line where there's both the premises true? Well, no, there isn't. Here one premise is true but the other is false. Here one is false, the other is true. So there is no line in this argument that could invalidate it. There's no line where I have all true premises and a false conclusion. What that tells me is that this argument is valid. So I'm going to keep it valid, I'm going to submit, and that's correct. For an invalid argument, what you would do is you would go to invalid then, and then you would select the particular line that invalidates it. The line where you have all true premises and then a false conclusion. In this case, I didn't have that, which is why I did not select invalid. But if you had that, you would select invalid, then select the line that you thought invalidated it, and then click submit.